Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks with Elneache. We're on our second video of the series here, looking at the new looking for new players at the early tanks in the game, looking at each nation. So I'm just messing around on the it's quite a funky new garage here at the moment. It's quite an interesting garage, all these different features in the garage at the moment. But yeah, anyway, looking at each nation, quick rundown of some of the tanks, low tiers, then look at some gameplay for you, so we can sort of see if you can work out what particular nation would best suit you. So today, for episode 2 of the series, we are looking at the Germans. Now, the Germans have got quite a broad tech tree, being one of the first nations introduced into the game, along with the Russians to start with, way back. You can see you've got quite a big selection of various vehicles here. So we'll do a quick rundown, like last time, of the vehicles. We're going to do the rundown up to tier 4, then talk a little bit more detail about the tier 1 vehicle, and then have some tier 1 and possibly 2 gameplay. So you start off with the light tractor here, or the light tractor. It's a pretty good little tank, certainly got more armour than the British equivalent. 14mm of frontal turret and hull armour is actually reasonably good, but as with pretty much any other tier 1 tank, you're not really going to bounce many shots. Only advantage this thing has is 13mm of turret side armour and 12mm of side hull armour does allow you to do some what's called side scraping, which I'll discuss a little bit. Now, you go through this quite quickly, and then you've got a massive choice here. Again, we won't cover artillery in this series, but you have the Panzerjäger 1, which is a pretty decent little tank destroyer, which moves up to the Marder 2, which used to be an absolute beast of a tank destroyer, till it was nerfed in roughly, I think, about 10 consecutive patches, but it was massively overpowered. From the Marder 2, you split into the Marder 38T, which is a reasonably good machine, or the Hetzer, which is most people's favourites, for 2 reasons. One, the Hetzer goes straight up to tier 5 to the Stug. The Marder 38T, you have to go through a second tier 4 vehicle before moving up to the tier 5. Then you've got the first of 2 light to medium tank lines. You have the PIS 35T, which is the PIS 38T, and the PIS 38NA. They're all relatively quick, lightly armoured, light tanks with average to good guns. Moving on to the PIS 4H, which allows you to move up to the Tiger lines further up. You have the Panzer 2, which is very nippy, small tank. It's faster by comparison, but well, it's about as well armoured at tier 2. But as you go further up, you find the tier 3 one only has 14mm of armour, the PIS 3A. That leads you through what's the dedicated medium tank line on the Germans, up to the Panzer 3-4 at tier 5, which was a fictional tank, never existed. Or you can drop down to the PIS 2G at tier 3 and then down to the dedicated light tank line, or you can drop back up on an alternate route to the medium tank line. You can also jump from the PIS 3A up into the heavy tank line and trot across towards the Tiger that way. Then you've got the Panzer 1, the Panzer 1C, which is an absolute beast of a tank, and I might show you some gameplay of that in a later video. The Luch, the tank that was too cute to kill, then moving up through a series of pretty decent light tanks, then back into the same light tank line further up. Generally with Germans, once you get out of the early tiers, you'll find they, in general, have better accuracy than a lot of other nations, because German engineering, certainly towards the later part of the start of the war, not in the very beginning, because I mean, there's nothing overly spectacular about this, or the Panzer IIs, but later on in the war, when you have the Panzer IVs, the Tiger eras, Germany certainly had the edge on the engineering side, even if they couldn't manufacture as much as they needed. So you tend to find the German guns are a little bit more accurate than their other nation counterparts, certainly more accurate than the Russians. Anyway, so we'll take a look in the garage at the light tractor here. Tier 1, 130 hit points, which compares very similarly. If I can know what we're doing. Compare it to the British. I don't have it anymore. Hang on a second. Compare it to the British Tier 1. There has 130 hit points. American Tier 1, 105 without the upgrades. The Russian only actually has 90. That's a reasonable wad of hit points for Tier 1. You're not going to withstand any big guns, but you're not going to face any. Let's just jump back to the Germans down here. No, that's France. That's the UK. Go on, one in the middle. There we go. It's got top speed of 36 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good, and weighs less than 10 tons with a horsepower of 100, so it's a pretty nippy little tank with good traverse speed. So as I said before, the hull armour, 14 at the front of both hull and turret. Also has a reasonable amount of sloping here, so you do find some shots will bounce. The side is 12-13mm thick, and the back is, again, 13mm on the turret, 12 on the hull, same as the sides. But actually you do have these tracks on the sides and flat sides, so you can side scrape, which is where you come to a rock, turn the tank like that, and people tend to shoot at your sides, but because of the angle, it bounces off or your tracks take it. Because the turret is mounted at the back of the light tractor, you can shoot round the corner quite easily without exposing very, very little of your tank. But it's Tier 1. It takes a while for you to get used to this sort of thing. So, other than that, with the light tractor you have a selection of guns you can pick. You have a 3.7cm standard tank gun here. Very good rate of fire at 26.909. Penetration of 40, well that's good enough to even get through the more heavily armoured Tier 2s. Certainly in the German line. Well, 30mm maximum, can even get through some Tier 3s. You can then, I say upgrade, you upgrade that to a 2cm machine gun. However, you lose penetration. Yeah, the rate of fire goes up. You get a 12-shot magazine, but you lose penetration, you lose damage per shot, and you go from 0.46 accuracy, which is it's bad, but it's your standard low tier accuracy, down to 0.53, which is awful. After mounting the upgraded turret, which gives you a little bit more armour and a better view range, you can mount the 2cm KWK-38 machine gun, which is even worse than the 2cm Breda up here. It's less accurate, less penetration, you get less shots in the magazine, and it takes longer to load the full magazine as well. So you will find most people using the light tractor do stick with the stock gun here. Other advantage of the stock gun is if you fire solely armour piercing ammunition, have a look here, it's completely free. And let's be frank, you're not going to be staying in this tank very long anyway. Got a few engine upgrades. Oh, radio upgrade I forgot to mount here. But again, it's a Tier 1, so nothing's overly spectacular. The radio upgrades from 90 metres. Well, actually, that's a pretty good upgrade, up to 265 metres. The engine goes up from 50 horsepower stock to 100. And the suspension just helps your manoeuvrability and allows you to mount everything. Same as previously, you don't need to worry about equipment or consumables, because it is only a Tier 1 vehicle. You mount a repair kit on this, that's going to cost you 3,000 credits, and it's just not worth it for a Tier 1 match. Same as crew skills, you're not going to be using this thing long enough to get your crew up to 100%, so there's no point worrying about crew skills at this kind of tier. So, that's your Tier 1, and then with your tier 2s, I think... let's have a look. What should we look at? I think we're going to take a look at... let's see. Then we'll take a look at the Panzer II. It's pretty decent tanks at this tier. And then I'll, as I said, later video I'll talk you through the Panzer 1C, because the Panzer 1C is absolutely immensely fun tank to drive. So I've got to look at the light tractor, and if we then look at the Panzer II, you see you get a bit better armour, faster top speed, and a more powerful engine, so you can reach that top speed a lot better. You go up to 160 horsepower on a 9.5 ton tank. Yes, you really can't complain about that. You get a choice of a few guns. They're all machine guns. You start off with the KWK-30. You upgrade it to the KWK-38, which just has better rate of fire and slightly better accuracy. Same sort of loading time. And then finally up to the Flak-38, which is higher penetration, significantly more accurate. But other than that, not much difference in that, so I'm just going to mount the Flak. It's the gun you'll see most Panzer II drivers using. The turret upgrade gives you a bit more armour, better traverse speed, and I think a bit better view range. Yeah, an extra 30 meters view range as well. Again, probably not going to need repair kits and things on this. It is only a tier 2 vehicle, and the ammo is dirt cheap. You can buy premium ammunition, but that costs 400 credits a shot, and if you were to load this up with a solely premium ammunition, that costs you 128,000 to load your magazine rather than less than 1,000, so it's really not worth it. For a bit of a boost in penetration and no boost in damage, it's just not worth it on a tier 2 machine. You do occasionally see people spamming gold ammunition in tier 2s, but they lose so many credits, it's just not worth it. Yeah, this tank, again, this is first taste of a sort of proper light tank with the German line. You do get a few of them before you move up to the mediums. Quick, manoeuvrable, average health, and quite light guns, but at low tiers these guns are deadly, which hopefully you will see in the replays. So here we are on Malinovka, having a look at Sentence Santana's Sum. I think I'm just going to call him SSS for the rest of this replay. Driving around in his light tractor and showing us how to do it, hopefully. As we see, he's put camo on it, so obviously he likes his light tractor, and for some reason he's put a French flag on it. But he's using the 3.7cm gun. So let's take a look and see how well he does. He's got some pretty decent people on his team. Can't see many of the stats, but other team looks potentially average, so we'll just see. It's a solid tier 1 match. Malinovka is one of the early maps you'll see quite a lot of.
Move out!
So we'll just speed this up to start with. Giving a bit of advice to his team there. Good advice, which sometimes you need in tier 1 matches. Please remember, only shoot the enemy. Just gonna... oh, there we go. So... takes a few speculative shots there, but the accuracy of this gun, it's a tier 1, it's not very great, and unless you spend time really aiming, you're not really going to hit at that range apart from by fluke. So he's moving around the left flank up to the north here, trying to see what he can see. When you match tanks with low view ranges, this is quite a good way to go, because there's a very, very slim chance the enemy will spot you up here unless they've come up here themselves, and it gives you a much better line of fire into the enemy base. Low tier matches, most of the enemy are going to be camped along this line here, behind the destructible barricade, just attempting to shell your team, and as you can see, most of SSS's team are camped in almost identical places on the other side of the map. You'll see this a lot in low tier matches, and it does just, a lot of the time, be a slugfest of pretty much who blinks first. And just by shelling the area he was, the last tank was spotted in, the tank didn't move, and he got the kill. No idea how much damage he's done, because obviously the tank was off screen, so the mods don't pick it up. So just speed it up for a second until we spot someone else. Making very good use of cover here, you see. He's got a bush that he's hid behind, which hides him from sight. And then there is another bush there in the middle of the screen now, which means that when he fires, he won't get spotted, even though he's firing his gun, whereas usually, if you fire your gun through just a single area of bush, you will get spotted when you pull the trigger. So he takes a couple of shots there and wipes out another one. Only low health, but does get the kill. T1 pushing up the other side, gets a kill on his team as well. So he tries to see if he can do anything, because that guy's spotting nicely for the rest of the enemy, and they are really starting to munch some of his friendly tanks. So he probably can't stay up here forever, but he hasn't really got any support to go up front on his own. Just speed it up until we get a bit more action. Oh, enemy spotted, but way over the other side of the field. He's never going to see him at that range, let alone hit him. He was to dally around a little bit up here, but then the T1 gets spotted again. So he opens fire on it. First shot misses, but stays looking at it for a while. Can't see it, so turns his attention back to the guys he can see. Opening up on that R2 there, hoping to hit it. Surprisingly, that bounced off him, but then finally lands a hit that goes through. And then, oh, nice. Blows his ammo rack. But his team is losing rather horribly, because they still haven't killed that T1 back there. See if you can see him, but no, he's disappeared again. And suddenly, some wild enemies appear. So he immediately opens up from the benefit of concealment. There's a reasonable chance that those guys can't actually see him still, because their view range is pretty awful, but he now can't hit him, so he's going to have to move up and engage. Thankfully, the other medium 2 up there with a machine gun managed to take out that guy. Another LOL tractor there, completely ignoring him. Focused in on the medium up ahead, completely ignoring the fact he's being shot at the side.
Penetration.
Still ignoring.
Enemy armor is damaged.
And of course, he's dead.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
That sort of ranges, you just point and hold the trigger down. You see, the rate of fire on this gun is so good that at that sort of range, it doesn't take long at all to destroy an enemy tank.
Enemy armor is damaged.
He's getting some really good long-range hits here.
Enemy is hit.
450 metres. Manages to nail himself his 5th kill.
Enemy armor is hit.
Oh, and that's FT that moved up earlier.
Critical hit.
Is now out in the open and, well, was out in the open, pulled back into cover temporarily. So they're still losing by 1 tank, but it's not as bad as it looked earlier. Speed it back up again while he comes back. Again, he's moving here, making use of the concealment he can. Try and keep himself from being spotted. Obviously, we know where that FT was, but that's the only tank we know about, so there's still a reasonable chance that the other 3 tanks are just camped down here on this line somewhere, probably this section, because we haven't seen any tanks get killed here. Still camped down there, just waiting to die, or hoping that they're going to see something kill something first. FT pops up again. His T1 empties a clip into him. Oh, and there's the light tractor.
Penetration. Penetration.
So he knows where the log tractor was, so he opens up into the area, and sure enough, he hasn't moved. So he's now moving up, because with only one guy left on his team, he can't really rely on anyone else to spot them, and that guy seems determined to just sit up there. And sure enough, one of them has just driven straight into the cap circle to tell SSS exactly where he is. And he only had 5 health, so it only took 1 shot to finish him off. And now he's on 7 kills, scores are even, only 2 enemy tanks left. So he sat around up here, well up it, just hoping the other enemy tanks were pushing up to try and make a push on the cap. So we've got 2 of them left there. And sure enough, there's the Chinese or Japanese tank. 2 shots into him, the 3rd one finishes him off. Still hasn't taken a single hit in return in this match. So you can probably guess that he's a pretty good player. Speed it up while we move towards the end of the match now. And here we actually have a reasonable display of teamwork from the last 2 remaining players, although they both are. Well, we know SSS is a good player, and statistically the medium 1 player is very good as well. So they're moving up on opposite sides, meaning even if one of them was to get taken out, the other one's on the other side will know where the enemy is and can react to it, but FT's just trying to get out of there and just is not quick enough, and that's the match over. 9 kills, so we have a look at the results. So here we are, unsurprisingly that was, well, Top Gun, because he killed more than 6 tanks. Unsurprisingly an ace tanker. He got Arsonist for setting an enemy on fire. Demolition Expert for blowing the turret off an enemy vehicle. Not surprisingly, he was top on his team there for damage by a country mile. And on experience, although the T1 cutting ahead was close behind him because he got quite a lot of detection damage. And detailed report, he made 12,000 credits, firing all armor piercing ammo, and as it's a tier 1 tank, absolutely no repair costs, so all profit. 963 experience, and that's undoubled, no premium account bonus on that, so that's a very good match. So there we have the light tractor, LOL tractor, being driven extremely well by SSS there. Now we're going to take a look at how the professionals do it driving the Panzer II. I would show you my own playing of the Panzer II, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning, no one's playing tier 1s and 2s, and in a couple of matches I have managed to get in, I have absolutely sucked. So we're going to see how the professionals do it. So here we are on mines with the Panzer II with La Polka des Penguins. So it's full tier 2 match. No, sorry, it's not. There's a few tier 1s on either side, but it's pretty heavy tier 2 match. No tier 3s to worry about. Good mix of tanks from the various nations, a few artillery, And you see here he's using the 2cm gun that I did say you'd see most people using. So I'm just going to speed this up until the action gets started. Now, I'm going to call him Penguins. He's platooned up with a friend here, who is in artillery, so I'm not going to be paying too much attention to what the friend does, because they're probably going to be sitting back just shelling away like artillery does. So, first thing first, he uses the speed of the tank to move up towards the middle here, which is the standard fighting area on mines. Unfortunately, the enemy BT2 is incredibly fast and does get there before him, but T26 trundles up there, completely oblivious, and takes a clip in the side. It doesn't take very long to reload the magazine on this gun, only a few seconds. That's when you go up to later tiers, you'll see guns that take longer than that just to reload a single shot. Medium 2, medium 1 even comes up there. Most of the shots actually manage to bounce, and I think has no armor whatsoever, but he's barely got anything to shoot at. It's not overly surprising some of them bounced. But his ally has taken out a enemy tank there, but I mean, he's still good. They're losing 1-3 suddenly, but he's in a good position here. Locks the gun on, empties the clip into the side of the enemy Panther 2. Thankfully, because of the angle of his front compared to that medium 1, all those machine gun shots bounced off the front of his turret at that extreme angle. And while I'm showing you that, he claims his first kill. The second kill is quite an easy one. The side of a medium 1 that wasn't hiding overly well behind a rock, forgetting quite how big the battle is. So that's 2 kills.
Target acquired.
And the Panzer 3 turns up,
We didn't even scratch them.
empties a clip into the side of him, takes hit and return, and actually does lose his driver. And unlike most people I know, he does actually run equipment, consumables on this, and so immediately gets his driver back up, because if you're in a light tank, one thing you do rely on is your maneuverability. So it's always good to have your driver up if you can. It's the only real circumstance I personally would recommend using any kind of consumable. Just take another hit there from the oh, I can't remember what it was now. The NC-31, I think. So, yes, the NC-31. Took 1 damaging hit and then a bounce. Went in through the front of his turret there, as you can see. Now he's still hugging this corner, hoping to get some more damage done on the guys that are up here, but looks like the NC-31 and the BT2 who went up on the hill might be the only guys here. So he takes the opportunity to push up, takes his time, and unloads the clip into the side of the unfortunate Tier 1, claiming his 4th kill for the match. And his teammate there gets a lovely ammo-racking hit on that BT2, taking him out for quite a lot of damage. But it seems every time they almost pull ahead, the enemy team very quickly equalises again. So he's moving up here, hoping to sort some guys that might be camping at the back there, but nothing spotted at the moment. You know, 3 of their tanks are on the other flank. 4 of their tanks are on the other flank, essentially. So he turns this tank around and puts the speed to good use. You can see, even on the flat, this thing will easily top 30 kilometers an hour. And with a slight downhill, he's breaking the 40. So he quickly powers across here. Just get into a position where he can put some shots into the side of the guys over there. Being very careful to make sure he can't be shot at by more than one person at once. He bounces a shot from the T2 medium and then takes a shot in the rear from the T18. Not a tank you particularly want to be exposing the rear end to. But because he managed to angle his armour slightly, he actually managed to survive the clip from that T7. It's not the best tank in the world, but it does fire a lot of shots off in its clip. Even. So it can be very deadly to low tier tanks. Let's take some sniping shots at that lol tracks that's pushing them onto the base. They've lost one of their artillery. Now, the main concern, if I was in this position, I probably wouldn't have played it how he is. I'd have gone quite aggressive, pushed back, tried to take out those 2 tier 1s. But he's probably, at this moment, thinking, right, where's that T18? So the T18 was firing high explosive. That thing's got the howitzer that it can mount. It could quite easily one-shot him right now. So thankfully that's...
Ready to fire.
Oh no, sorry, the light tractor wasn't taken out, I thought it was, no. They lost a tank, but they managed to get around behind that T1 Cunningham and unloaded a clip into him. And there's the light tractor. Sprays the front of the magazine, then reloads while he moves around. And the light tractor manages to turn around, giving him a lovely flat side to shoot at, securing his 7th kill. Oh. And the friendly light tractor just took out the enemy artillery, but then got taken out himself for his troubles. So now they've got a what looks like it could be an R02 that seems to have gone idle in the cap circle. He isn't a bot because he has, well, he might be a bot, but no, he is moving. Maybe he was just AFK for a few seconds. So I didn't think he was a bot because he does actually have a kill. Now I think between La Polka de Pingwing and his teammate, well, platoon mate Fronglis here, they've got 9 kills between them. I could certainly say that they've probably carried this match. But it's not over yet. T18 is a very tough nut to crack from the front unless you've got high penetration, which you just don't have with this 2cm gun, or high explosives, which we do have with the artillery. So I was trying to edge up here and spot without getting spotted in return, because he doesn't want to take another hit from the T18 right now. That R02 still has barely moved at the start point. No, he has actually worked out what the forward gear's for. So right now he's just spraying the area where he's hoping one of the enemy tanks is, but no return shots to confirm it, no kills, so right now we don't know. So we'll just speed it up until we spot one of the 2 remaining enemies. Unsurprisingly, our platoon here is getting a bit annoyed about R02, which is just sitting around at the back, pretty much doing nothing. Very, very slowly moving forwards. Whereas if they had all 3 of them working together, they could have quite easily finished this already. So he decides if you want a job done properly, you've just got to go do it yourself. Puts the original speed of this quite nice little light tank to good use. It's interesting because the Germans at the start of the war, they made very good tanks. I mean, this is a very good tank, but they had absolutely god-awful guns on them. Whereas the Russians made absolutely awful tanks with very good guns. And luckily there, it looks like he is firing howitzer, I think. Yeah, that guy's firing the 75mm howitzer, so could potentially take La Polka here out in one shot. Stop! Sorry about that.
Ready to fire. Penetration.
So La
Enemy
Polka
armor is hit.
manages to get some shots into him, tries to pull back.
Penetration.
Manages to get around the side, so firing into the slightly flattened side armour and gets the kill. So now it's just a T2 medium to find, and nobody's seen this guy all match. But his ally makes a little bit of a boo-boo there and comes off the hill a little bit hard. Only had 10 health, so it was a bit of a risk. But La Polka is going to play it safe. Don't know where the T2 medium is, so I'm going to try and force him to come to La Polka, fight on La Polka's terms. He's trying to edge as much cover as he can behind this tree. And there we go, it worked.
Enemy armor is damaged.
T2 medium comes back to try
Target
and
acquired.
finish him off, but
Enemy vehicle
one clip sets
destroyed.
him on fire, and while he's burning away, reloads and just finishes him off. So let's look at the results. So yeah, Top Gun, obviously, high caliber, cool-headed because he survived a lot of ricochets, ace tanker, a whole shed load of smaller awards, top on the team by a factor of about 5 on damage, about 5 times the experience of anyone else in the match, and again, that's without a premium account. That was a 12,000 base experience game. I had 280 shots, 170 hit, that's pretty good, and came out with well over 1,000 damage. And I've seen people in tier 7 games with guns that do 400 damage a shot not managing to get that amount of damage. So, very well played there to La Polka de Penguin, or Penguin, yeah, however you say that, La Polka, showing us exactly what this little beast of a machine can do if you just use your head, don't charge out into situations you can't handle, and just take the enemy one at a time. Take them on, kill them, move on to the next. So right, that's it for this look at the early German tanks. I'm going to come back to this nation again at some point soon, look at a few more of the low tier tanks, and have a look at some of the more fun tanks below tier 5, such as the Hetzer, Panzer 1C, because they're immense fun to drive. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a like down below, and subscription as well if you wouldn't mind. If you take a look at my other videos I've got up, and also I am running a 50 subscriber giveaway the moment I hit that 50 mark, which will be for World of Tanks or World of Warships, depending whichever you play. So, if you know anyone else who would be interested in the videos, link them along to the channel, get them to subscribe if they're interested in winning probably a little bit of gold or a low tier premium tank, and I will catch you next time.